Since 2018, my daily setup ran on a MacBook Pro 15-inch base model. It did the job, editing, music, productivity, but over time it started to slow down. Audio work lagged, fans ran nonstop, and the performance just wasn't cutting it anymore. So I upgraded to the Mac Mini M4 Pro. Super fast, totally silent, and a huge leap forward. And with that upgrade, I decided to rebuild my whole desk setup, starting with proper 5.1 surround sound. I'm still using my Logitech Z906 system, and in this video, I'll show you exactly how to connect it to the Mac Mini using two different methods, 6-channel direct and digital optical. Let's get started. Let's begin by looking at the ports available on the Mac Mini M4 Pro. On the front, you'll find two USB-C ports that support USB 3 speeds and a single 3.5mm headphone jack for audio output. Around the back, you get 1 gigabit Ethernet port for wired internet, one HDMI port that supports multi-channel audio output, and 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports that support Thunderbolt 5, USB 4, and DisplayPort. These ports give you quite a bit of flexibility for audio and video connectivity. Now let's look at the Logitech Z906 speaker system. It offers a good range of input options. These include a 6-channel direct input, RCA stereo input, digital optical, Hoslink, digital coaxial, and a standard auxiliary input. For this guide, we'll focus on two input methods, the 6-channel direct and the digital optical. These two provide true 5.1 surround sound when set up properly. To connect using the 6-channel direct method, we'll need the right adapters and cables. You can use the 6-channel direct input cable that comes in the Logitech Z906 box. Or, if you prefer, you can use 3 standard 3.5mm auxiliary cables. Since the Mac Mini M4 Pro has only one 3.5mm headphone jack, we'll also need two USB-C to 3.5mm headphone jack adapters to get full 5.1 output. Start by connecting your 3 aux cables to the 6-channel direct ports on the back of the Z906 subwoofer. On the Mac Mini side, plug one aux cable directly into the 3.5mm headphone jack. Then, plug the other two into your USB-C ports using the USB-C to 3.5mm adapters. If you prefer, you can use the 6-channel direct cable that comes in the Z906 package, along with 3 USB-C to 3.5mm adapters. It's all about what cables and adapters you have on hand. Once everything is connected, turn on the Z906 speaker system and use the control console to select Input 1. This input corresponds to the 6-channel direct connection. There's a label on the back of the subwoofer that confirms this. Next, go to the Audio MIDI Setup app on your Mac. In the left-hand sidebar, you should see the 3 audio output devices listed, your Mac's headphone jack and the 2 USB-C audio adapters. Click each device, set the same sample rate, balance the audio channels, and maximize the volume. Then click the plus icon at the bottom of the sidebar and choose Create Aggregate Device. Rename it to something like Logitech Z906. Now select your new aggregate device and check the Use boxes next to each of the 3 audio outputs. Then click Configure Speakers in the bottom right. A pop-up will appear. Change the configuration from stereo to 5.1 surround. Then assign each channel to the correct speaker. You can use the Test button to verify your assignments. Once everything's set, click Apply. Now your Mac Mini is ready to output full 5.1 surround sound through your Logitech Z906 using the direct input method. This method has several benefits. First, it allows your Mac to always output in true 5.1 surround sound, regardless of the app you're using. For stereo content, you can choose your preferred sound effect mode on the Z906 to upmix it. There's no need to rely on HDMI Passthrough or specific software support. It works across the board, with fewer electronic components involved. Just a few cables and adapters, which means fewer things can go wrong. It's also a very affordable and easy solution to set up. However, there are a couple of trade-offs. You do use up 3 ports just to connect the audio, which isn't a huge deal for me since I don't use all the ports anyway. Also, the sound output is slightly lower in volume and may feel a bit less bright or crisp compared to the digital method. But honestly, for most uses, you probably won't notice much of a difference. Now let's switch to the second method, connecting the Mac Mini to the Z906 using the digital optical Toslink input. First, You'll need a few things that aren't included with either the Mac Mini or the Z906. Start with a Toslink cable for the optical input on the Z906. Next, you'll need an HDMI cable to connect the Mac Mini to a third-party HDMI audio extractor. To ensure multi-channel support, make sure your HDMI cable is version 1.4 or newer. I'll be using an HDMI 2.1 cable to match the specs of the Mac Mini and keep things future-proof. Now, since we have HDMI on one end and optical audio on the other, we'll need an HDMI audio extractor or converter. Look for one that supports HDMI 2.1, USB-C power input, digital optical output, and ideally includes an extra HDMI out for your display. Connect the Mac Mini to the audio extractor using your HDMI 2.1 cable. Then, run the Toslink cable from the extractor's optical output to the Z906 subwoofer's optical input. Finally, power the extractor using the USB-C input. On the extractor, choose the 5.1 surround output mode. Then, switch the Logitech Z906 to the correct input. In my case, that's input 3. Now go to your Mac Mini's sound settings and select the audio extractor as your output device. There's no need to configure aggregate devices like before. Just make sure to enable HDMI Passthrough in your supported apps. Currently, HDMI Passthrough is supported on Apple Silicon Macs in Apple Music, QuickTime Player, and the Apple TV app. When playing supported content, the Mac will send the decoded signal directly to your speaker system. This method is definitely easier and faster to set up. It's truly plug and play, and the sound quality is fantastic, clean, rich, and loud. It's great for watching high-quality content in surround sound, but it's not perfect. Pass-through is limited to Apple's own apps, Apple Music, QuickTime, and Apple TV. And here's the thing. I couldn't find any surround content in Apple Music. QuickTime didn't work either. The only app that did successfully send a decoded surround signal was Apple TV, but only for Apple TV Plus content. That means if you want to watch movies from other platforms, you might be out of luck unless you switch to the first method. Also, the extractor adds another piece of hardware to your setup, one that could break and might need to be replaced down the line. So, which method is better? Honestly, both have their place. Since I mostly listen to stereo content and don't watch movies very often, I'll stick with the second method, the digital optical setup with HDMI pass-through. It gives me great sound quality with very little setup hassle. But if I want to watch movies through apps that don't support pass-through, or if the extractor ever fails, I know I can always fall back on the 6-channel direct method. Whichever method you choose, the Logitech Z906 and Mac Mini M4 Pro can make a great audio combo. If you found this helpful, give it a like, subscribe, and let me know which setup you prefer in the comments below.